I am
Hey everyone, welcome again to the BATTAS Podcast, the Batman the Animated Series show podcast, where we talk about Batman the Animated Series. My name is Clay McCormick, and with me as always is Sean Murphy. How you doing, Sean?
Good, man. Happy to have another guest to shake it up here.
Yes, we have another guest who was kind enough to donate to the Kickstarter for my graphic novel Bloody Hell. We have Stephen Tsai. Stephen, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Glad to have you.
Huge fan.
Oh, thanks so much. Of our show or of Batman the Animated Series? Either answer is
everything. Both of you guys do, and of this podcast for sure.
Excellent, thank you. So yeah, what's your history with Batman the Animated Series? Because obviously you must be, like you said, a big fan if you want to come on and talk about it.
Oh yeah. Well, I grew up watching this show. I was born in '86, and I guess the original show started what 95, 94 or so.
Yeah, 92.
And 92. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I feel older.
It was syndicated for a while though. I mean, you're not alone.
But yeah, I think the first episode I saw was My Silicon Soul, and that one like kind of blew my mind because I was like, "What? Batman and a robot, or his Silicon Soul?"
Yeah.
So I don't think I started with the first episode, but yeah, I definitely caught on. And then like going back to just Batman, the first movie I ever saw was Batman '89.
There you go. Yeah.
Or at least the trailer. Because that trailer is like badass. So
one of the most memorable things from Batman '89 isn't the movie itself, but I owned it. It was the VHS I owned that I probably watched more than anything else. So do you guys remember the Diet Coke commercial that they had at the beginning of the VHS where it's Alfred taking a phone call saying that Bruce Wayne's going to be late for something, and then it's a weird Alfred centric Batman Diet Coke commercial.
I think I missed that one.
Did I play it? I think when we talked about Tim Burton, the episode we talked about Tim Burton, I might have played it in that episode.
I think you did, because I remember I haven't seen that for a while, but I know somebody showed it to me recently, so I assumed it was you.
Yeah. Well, we are going to talk about 2 episodes, as we always do. The first one was selected by Steven here. We're going to be talking about Bane. So we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about Bane. And if you guys would like to do the entire thing in Bane voice, you're more than welcome to.
Oh, God. I don't think I can lose my voice.
Is it Bane from Dark Knight Rises or Bane from this episode?
Either one. Go crazy with it.
Clay has a controversial opinion on this, and I get so tired of him explaining it to people like he's right.
What? What's my controversial opinion?
People make fun of the Bane voice, but you like to lean and be like, however, if it wasn't for Tom Hardy doing that, nobody would remember anything about that movie.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. Yeah, the Bane voice is great. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about the cartoon version of Bane.
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
All right, Bane, written by Mitch Bryan, directed by Kevin Altieri. And this one, Batman comes face to face with his most powerful adversary yet, the chemically enhanced assassin Bane. Originally hired by Rupert Thorne to kill Batman, Bane plans on taking control of Thorne's criminal empire once Batman is destroyed. It is a fight to the death with all of Gotham in the balance as Batman takes on the man who has vowed to break the bat. They really kind of they're kind of pumping the tires on the stakes of this a little bit in the Wikipedia entry, because I don't know, it's a little bit more grandiose here than it is in the episode. But
I kind of have to apologize to you guys because I watched this episode twice before this and I fell asleep.
Oh man!
Well, I was going to ask you.
Let's get straight to ratings.
This was the episode that you chose to do. Why did you pick Bane?
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to skip so quickly, but the reason why I wanted to do Bane is because like when I watched this episode, I was reading Nightfall,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, Bane is like this really awesome bad guy, right? And then you watch this episode, and then I won't spoil anything. So,
Oh, we've. I mean, everybody's watched it, so feel
Oh,
free.
yeah,
To spoil
yeah.
whatever you want.
no, they've had like 20 or 30 years to see it at this point, so it's their fault.
So yeah, I mean, he's kind of like a lovesick like bad guy with no real drive except for money, which is
Yeah.
totally devoid of what Nightfall was about.
Well, it's funny because I remember this episode pretty clearly from when I watched it as a kid, and even at the time, because I, like you, was like right in the middle of Nightfall, where Bane was this crazy, intense Batman villain, and then in this episode, he shows up on a passenger air flight dressed in like a big trench coat in full costume, and it's a really weird way to introduce this character.
For sure. And then when he gets in the car, and then the whole like you can't get good like service or manpower or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but like Batman smiles a lot in this episode.
Yeah, he's kind of a cocky asshole in this episode a little bit.
Yeah.
Sean, what's your background with Bane? Because you're a little bit older than me, at least, so I don't know if you were into Bane at the time when he was first appeared.
So I was, born in 1980, so I was 12 when this started. But this episode aired in '94, and I had not read the Bane comic, but I was aware of Batman being killed and Azrael and all that stuff. So that was all the big event, I'm guessing, in like 1992 or 3. So I knew the ending. So when I'm watching this, I was like, oh man, they're really going for it. And there's a moment where he's holding Batman over his knee, and I'm like, are they going to fucking do it? Are they going to break Batman's back? And then they puss out, and Batman grabs a knife and cuts the little green tube, and then everything it goes as you would expect for a kid show.
Yeah. Well, what you just said is my exact feeling watching the episode. So at the time, for the first time as a kid, I mean, because this came out right around the same time as when they killed Superman, and at the time, the live action show Lois and Clark was on with Dean Cain playing Superman and Terry Hatcher as Lois Lane.
Oh yeah,
she was beautiful.
And there was they eventually had Lois and Clark get married in that show, and when that happened, I got super excited because I knew that shortly after that, if they're going by the comic books, that means Doomsday is going to show up and kill Superman, which clearly did not happen on that show. And this, I kind of had the same response to this, where Bane shows up, and I was like, "Oh man, are they actually gonna do it?" And yeah, you get to that point where he's got him over his head and everything, and then obviously it doesn't happen, and then Bane disappears until he shows up dressed like a dominatrix in the next season.
Yeah.
Oh, but that is even better though, right? That I know
I
you
actually
aren't
don't think
getting
I've ever
there
seen that
anytime
episode.
soon. But yeah, that Over the Edge is a great episode.
I actually prefer the second costume. I like the dominatrix leather style Bane. This Jack Kirby style, like I get why they're going for it, but just if I had to draw one, I would draw the other one.
It's
For sure.
his costume in this is fairly goofy. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I think this costume is so for anybody who's not familiar with what Bane looks like in the comics, he's got a full face mask that covers everything, so you can't see his nose, you can't see his mouth. And in this show, they make it more like a luchador wrestling mask, and I think that's where that element came from.
But
Because
if
that
I'm to be
sort of-
honest though, the luchadero mask, Sean does it the best in his Curse of White Knight and White
Yeah.
Knight.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
was very important that you interrupt and remind Clay who's the most valuable person here.
Sorry, guys.
No, don't, please. Clay,
No, it's
you may
all right.
continue.
No, Sean knows who the most valuable person is. No, but from that point on, there has always been this like undercurrent of luchador element to Bane, like in the Batman 66 comic they did a few years ago. They had Bane show up in that as a full-fledged, full-on luchador. But he's not like, if you read the comic, if you read Nightfall,
Yeah.
that is not him at all.
So
So
somebody made that, and they made thousands of people misinterpret Bane for like 2 generations.
pretty much.
It's
Well,
like
in this, he
insane.
even does wrestling moves too. During that fight with Batman,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
he throws
boat, right?
Batman. Yeah, he throws Batman into the railing of the boat, and Batman bounces off it like wrestling ropes, and then he
Yeah.
hits him with a clothesline.
But I did like the scene in the sewer when he busts through the sewer wall, right?
Mm.
And then I don't know if you guys have read like the recent Tom King run, but like they have that exact scene in the I Am Bane story arc where he's trying to catch like Commissioner Gordon and stuff. So
Oh, no kidding.
yeah, I kind of like that because it was a bit suspenseful. You knew it was coming, but yeah, I thought that was well done.
So what I found interesting about this is the scene you're talking about where he busts into the sewer and he beats up Killer Croc.
Mm.
That's actually straight out of Nightfall, because that's one of the first things that Bane does in the comic is he beats the shit out of Killer Croc.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so I was watching that and I was thinking like, man, why didn't they use more of the stuff from the comics? Because if I think my biggest problem with this is I wish it was like a 2-parter. Because
Yes.
it happens, everything happens so quickly,
Yeah.
and Bane is just much like in Dark Knight Rises, Bane just gets punked out at the end,
Yeah.
and it's kind of unsatisfying.
I feel like they could have done the Nightfall and with Azrael. If they really shortened it up, you could have maybe done a quickie version of that in 3 episodes.
Yes,
You
yeah.
know,
That would
and
be awesome. Yeah.
and by the end, everything goes back to normal. Batman beats up Azrael or whatever. But yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
if you really wanted to shorten it, you could have done it not in 2 but in 3.
Yeah, and especially because Bane, I feel like he gets underappreciated, or his character, much like Killer Croc, gets everybody only remembers the venom and the tube going into his head.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's the flashiest thing about him. But Nightfall, the entire story of Nightfall is Bane psychologically destroying Batman before he then goes in and breaks his back after he's already broken him in every other manner. So he's like a really smart villain.
Yeah.
But every time he shows up, Dark Knight Rises aside, it's just more like, oh, he's the big strong guy with the venom stuff. They
Right.
don't lean into his smarts.
They
Yeah.
do in season 4. I remember thinking as a kid, Bane seemed a little smarter, and he was kind of playing the angles off of people. He turns on someone at some point, I think. The way he talks, he speaks faster. He doesn't speak like a meathead at all. So I feel like he's not like a full on. He's probably not what you would have written, Clay, but I think he's a little bit closer to that.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to that then. He sounds like Ricardo Montalban from Star Trek Wrath of Khan in this.
So Clay, by the way you're talking about this, and because you're a big wrestling fan, I feel like you're gonna unfairly. I think that you have 2 strikes. Bane has 2 strikes against him right now, and it's not his fault. A, he's not Tom Hardy talking like this, and B, actually 3. B, he's not really. They called him a wrestler when he was never really a wrestler, and you're a big fan of wrestling, and I'm guessing that you think that like crosses into your territory, and you're mad about it for some reason.
No.
Okay. And
No.
what was the third one? I guess that he's not Tom Hardy.
No, I mean, I don't care if he's not Tom Hardy. It's I think as this episode stands, I actually think it's not bad. The story's kind of weird and fairly simplistic, especially for a new villain introduction episode.
Right.
And again, I just don't like that Bane gets punked out at the end, and
Yeah.
it's the symmetry of the mask thing is nice, because he's talking about he wants Batman's mask and stuff, and then he throws Bane's mask. That's fun.
Yeah.
But I wish they had done more with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish it showed more of like his strategic side as well.
Yeah.
He kind of used Robin a little bit, but like
Oh yeah.
having Rupert Thorne like hire him, he should like, if it was based on Nightfall, that was already something that he wanted, right? That was
Right.
something
Yes.
that he wanted for himself.
Yeah.
And and that there's a little bit of that in it where he's saying he wants to break the bat, blah blah blah, but like in the end, yeah, you're absolutely right. He's just like another hitman, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do also really like how he's this this mysterious assassin, but somehow Batman has like a whole file on him already that he's more than happy to say out loud to the audience when we need to talk about who Bane is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do agree
And
with
I
you, Clay,
do
that-
like the oh, sorry,
No,
Sean.
that's fine. Oh, go ahead,
Oh,
man.
no. Well, I was just gonna say I did like the interrogation scene with Killer Croc as well.
That was good. Yes, I
Yeah,
did
I
like
thought that
that.
was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Fuck, I forget what I was gonna say. Oh, I think that Clay. If this was a two-part episode, I think that they should use that extra space to show Bane being more than just a muscle meathead and show him being like a tactic, a planner. Because I think that is more interesting about him. But if they only have 22 minutes, I don't know how they can squeeze that all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's I think Steven, I think what you were saying is kind of hits it too, where I don't know why Bane couldn't have just his thing is that he has come to Gotham because he wants to defeat Batman. Like it's it's a goal for
Right.
him. I don't know why he has to specifically be a thug for Rupert Thorne.
Yeah, and then the whole Candace subplot or whatever. You don't really need her.
Right. Yeah.
If he was just like sorry.
No, I was gonna say I agree. I never understood why she was really in the plot, what she really does for anything.
It's I feel like I'm being too harsh on this episode though, because I don't think it's terrible. I enjoy it. It's I don't know. How do you guys feel about it overall?
I fell asleep the second
Oh yeah,
time.
you did say you fell asleep twice.
Yeah.
No, 5 out of 5. Got it.
Yeah.
I think as a kid I really enjoyed it though. And I think I had fond memories. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. Because at the time, when I was reading Batman Nightfall and then I saw this episode, I was like, wow, this episode shows how badass Batman is because he figured out the whole Venom thing, right?
Right.
But then if you think about it in the whole context, yeah, it's lacking a lot. Yeah.
I really want to like it, but I feel like it gets wrapped up in fan service. Like I feel like this note was given to them, like, "Hey guys, you have to do a Bane episode."
Yeah.
And they're like,
it does
"Well,
feel like
if we
that.
do, we want to do it our way." They're like, "No, just do the Killer Croc opening, do this, do that. Don't make him smart. Just make him a wrestler." And like, he almost kills Batman. Let's just do that. Like that's what feels like they're doing. And I wish that they had given him more of an animated series spin and made him more, more of a planner, make him more hyper intelligent and all that. And he attacks Bruce psychologically as well as physically.
Yeah.
Well, I could totally see him like coming on his own, and just wreaking havoc on his own. Like if you take the whole Rupert Thorne thing out, you could develop a really strong character.
Yeah. Because in Nightfall, the first thing Bane does is he blows up Arkham Asylum and lets everybody out. So
Right.
Batman has to stretch himself incredibly thin trying to capture everybody. And that's really fun. I don't know why they couldn't have done that.
Clay, how do you feel about Bane in the Joel Schumacher movie?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Really? I'm so surprised.
I like when he turns green and veiny.
Yeah, plant-based Bane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I haven't seen it for a while. I remember he didn't say much. He was kind of a dumb meathead, kind of a zombie or something, right?
Yeah, I can actually do that voice.
Yeah. That feels a lot like studio mandated character insertion, where it's like just use Bane. He's popular now. Throw him in the background. He's a big muscly dude. Just get him on screen.
Yeah.
We're saying you could do this in 3 episodes. That's why it kills me that they do all of these DC animated movies and they haven't done Nightfall. Nightfall would be an amazing DC animated movie.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And the
'Cause you've got-
animation, the animation right now is like top of the line as well.
And you've got I know that they just did fairly recently. I think they did the Death and Return of Superman.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've
Wait,
got
they
both
did
sides.
the four clones stuff?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, I missed that. Huh.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you've got both sides of the story. You've got,
Yeah.
you could, if you wanted to do it, I think they did Death and Return of Superman as 2 separate movies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you could do half the movie as Nightfall and then the second half is the Azrael story. I think that would be
Right.
awesome.
It's crazy because they have an
Yeah.
animated series style Azrael figure and a Asbat. Or do they have both now? I forget.
No, just the bat, I think.
Okay.
Actually, Paul Dini started he started writing a new Batman series based on the animated series, and then he's brought Azrael into that continuity.
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah,
haven't read
read
that
it,
yet.
but yeah,
I am curious to see how they work Azrael into that. That'll be fun.
It's tricky
Yeah.
because those are like very self-contained one shots, which I think is what Paul Dini is good at. But to
Mhm.
tell the Bane story properly, I'd want to give Paul Dini like 4 issues or 8 issues
Right.
just to really let him do everything he needs to do. You know,
Right. Yeah.
I worried because that series is so quick fire. If they're really going to take the proper amount of time to do it the right way, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like it would need to be an event.
but if they,
I did one
Oh.
cover and it was like Deathstroke was in it.
Yeah.
It was like Firefly was in it. It was like
Oh,
cramped.
yeah.
It was there was a ton going on. Like when they
Yeah.
were like, "Do you
Yeah.
want to do a cover?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Who's the villain? And they named all the villains. I was like, "What the fuck is okay? Great, I can draw whoever I want." And yeah, like they're what do you call it when you burying the lead in a way where it's like let's just make a bunch of people come in the first few issues and then we'll start getting to the story later. But it was like
Right.
the first 3 issues I think are like cameo packed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's I read the first one and I thought it was fun. It was pretty quick though. It's a quick read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
It's like
haven't
Lex
caught up with them.
Luthor. And
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Luthor shows up. Yes.
yeah, and then that android, and then so I only read the first like 3 issues, the first arc. So
Mhm.
after that, I'm not really sure what happened.
Issue 1 had Lex Luthor and an android in it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
it did.
Why, like already, I'm like, why is Lex Luthor in Gotham? I don't get that.
You know,
Oh yeah, I actually there was no real point to that. Like,
the one thing that I did really like about this, actually both of the episodes we're talking about tonight,
Yeah.
mhm.
I miss seeing Robin in this show because I feel like he, at least my versions anyway, the ones that I watched, both had the new
Mhm.
Batman and Robin Adventures intro.
Yeah,
And it seems like those episodes, they are consciously trying to get Robin more screen time.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I don't know why they don't use him more. Cause in the grand scheme of things, he's only in like maybe a third of the episodes and he doesn't
Yeah.
get used a ton. And I really enjoy seeing the both of them together.
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely like Dick Grayson and this rendition of him. He lightens the mood a lot of the times, and especially in the next episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's. But I also think that kiddifies it a bit more.
Mhm.
Like
Sure.
if Robin wasn't in this episode, and then you don't have Rupert Thorne, then there could be like a real wrestling match. You know
True.
what I'm
Right.
Yeah.
saying?
That's a good point. That's a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah. If you take out all the peripheral stuff and it's just Bane versus Batman, yeah, you could focus that down a lot more. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I think that if you did that and you had 2 episodes like Sean was, or if you had 2 episodes of just them 2, I
Yeah.
think you could still end it the same way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you could develop the character far more in between the 2 episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you did you guys ever watch any of the show Gotham?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have either of you seen the version of Bane that they did on Gotham?
I have not. I saw one
Oh,
episode
man.
and I think I was moving at the time, so I stopped watching.
Yeah,
I should go back, though.
nah, I don't know.
No?
It's not very good.
You didn't like it?
I was not a fan. I watched like the first 3 and I couldn't get into it.
Yeah. Huh.
But in the final season, I guess they introduce a version of Bane
Mhm.
and he looks absolutely ridiculous.
Mm.
He's not like a naturally big actor playing him, so they've
Right.
given him like this like leather jacket with giant shoulder pads, and
Yeah.
he's got like this electronic box thing on his chest like Darth Vader, and he looks like a GI Joe figure, and it's a really odd choice.
Are you overall like a fan of Bane, Clay? Because I feel like you have a love-hate relationship with Bane and with how people choose to handle him sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I like it when they use him right,
Yeah.
but I
agreed.
think he's if he's just like a meathead, then I don't really care for him. But
Yeah.
if you lean into the interesting stuff about him, I think he's great.
Yeah.
Well, if anything, if I could recommend a storyline, yeah, I definitely read like Tom King's I Am Suicide and I Am Bane.
Mhm.
As you get further into his like 85 issue arc, Bane kind of takes the sidestep away, but like leading up to those parts, he really builds a strong Bane character.
Right. Well, he's
So yeah,
have you read all of the Tom King stuff?
yeah, I did.
Okay, so I won't be ruining anything, but I know he
Oh, but what about Sean?
he doesn't care.
No, thank you, Clay.
He Bane is behind Selena Kyle leaving Bruce at the altar, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that.
Yeah, and you're like breaking everything. Like that was his whole plan, right? Break this man down, not just
Right.
physically, but every portion of him.
Yeah.
Which I'll reiterate, if you did that in this episode, but span it among 2 episodes, you could still do that. Like,
Right.
that would be an interesting story right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
Do Stephen, as you know, we do a section where we discuss what we would like to draw, which I don't know if you have any art background. You are more than welcome to join us on if you'd like to
Sure.
tell us what
Or
you'd
if you
like
had
to
to have
draw in this
what would you
episode.
have commissioned? You could hire an artist.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Like
That's a good one.
Sean, I'd like to see you both tackle the destroyed Batmobile.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe I got this far into this episode without mentioning the destroyed car with the handprints on it.
Oh, and as like as a extra, instead of making it the animated series Batmobile, you make it the 89 series
Ooh.
Batmobile.
You know, it's
Man.
funny. The Batmobiles, they're fun to draw, but they're so time consuming to get all the curves right. The only thing
Yeah.
harder to draw than that, I think, is a broken Batmobile where you have to draw everything. And then you ever draw a city and there's like a bomb that's been blown off, so you have to draw like perspective but at weird angles because like corner of the building is laying over here, and the fire truck is laying over. It's like drawing something well and then having to destroy it. It just feels like a very thankless job to draw things like that.
Yeah, when I was doing well, first of all, Stephen, thank you for covering my ego by saying you'd like to see both of us draw this.
No problem.
But no, that would be all. That would be all him. I would much rather draw a destroyed Batmobile because I could be like, look, it's just the pieces are everywhere. They don't have to make any sense. But when I was doing Redline, I had to do this big double page spread of this bomb that had gone off and like taken out a whole city block, and it was weird because you have to kind of decide how you're going to tackle that because you've got to keep some stuff intact.
Yeah.
But then if you've got any of the building left over, you have to figure out how your destroyed pieces are going to land,
right?
How much you're going to cover in like smoke and shit to kind of cover up the stuff you don't want to deal with.
Right. Yeah. What you're going to black out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like because we're talking before about drawing shrubbery and trees and plants.
Sure.
And we were saying how you have basically like 3 or 4 or 5 textures. You just kind of, disperse them carefully. I imagine with rubble, because I don't draw a lot of rubble, but I imagine a lot of artists have like 5 different types of rubble they could just pull out of their ass, like brick, pipe, concrete, a rock, a smoke, whatever. Done. Back to brick,
Yeah, I definitely have that. If you go and you look at my stuff, I do a lot of rocks with like rebar sticking out of them.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Sort of like a crosshatch rebar kind of pattern.
Yeah.
That'll get you a long way.
Yeah, if you can draw a piece of concrete with a twisted piece of rebarb coming out and put that in your foreground, you're like halfway done the panel.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It indicates to everybody that shit happened here.
Yeah, my secret when I don't know how to do anything, how to compose a shot, just put something really close in the foreground, and that takes up half of your job there.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean? What would you want to draw?
I think drawing the crushed Batmobile would be pretty. If you give me enough time to do it, I would do it, and I'd do it the right way. But with comics, like I got to get a page done a day roughly, and I don't have 10 hours to burn on one panel of like a perfectly drawn yet destroyed 89 Batmobile. I can do it, but I'm gonna need like 2 days and a lot of beer.
Even in the show, the way they do it is kind of half-assed.
Oh yeah,
because they just kind of like make the top of it like kind of bumpy.
Yeah,
and then they do a close-up. Yeah. They do a close-up of like a handprint that looks like he took a bite out of it with his hand.
No, it looks like the Batmobile is made out of cloth, and he just squeezed it and walked away.
Yes.
And it was just it stayed that way. It does not look like I mean, I would have done that too, I guess, if I had to animate it with airbrush,
Or what you do is you put the camera on Batman and Robin, and you just have them both say, "Wow, he destroyed the Batmobile," and then you just don't show it on screen.
Draw one broken tire, and then a piece of
exactly.
rebarb stuck inside of cement.
Put the camera on the ground, really close to the car, so you see one wheel with the hubcap off. Yeah. And then you have Batman and Robin in the background, small, saying, "Oh my God, he destroyed the Batmobile." And you're all set.
So I had to draw the 2005 Batmobile in White Knight. I have the tumbler in there, and I find myself drawing it from the back because it's just 4 huge tires stuck together.
Yes.
And if you understand ellipses and can do some kind of texture on tire tread, that's the best way to do it. But it's not just being lazy. I actually think that car looks better from the back. I think the front is cool too, but you kind of don't know where to look. But when you look at the back, it's like I'm looking at those tires and that thruster.
Yep. Yeah.
That's sexy if you ask me. So
like
and
then,
guys, if I could add like one more challenge commission.
Sure.
I would love to see Robin versus what's her name? Candace?
Yes, I think so,
Yeah.
Shirtless wrestling in the water.
Yes, I think that would be so sexy, guys.
That was my favorite. Actually, my favorite part of the episode is when Bane calls Batman on the phone, and then he's like, "Look out the window," and Batman looks out the window and he just sees Robin's shirt.
Yeah,
I was imagining Bane going like, "As you can see, I have your boy, and he's topless."
Maybe I want to draw Batman on the phone with the Robin shirt taped outside his window. That sounds like
just an easy day. Yeah.
Lots of black, greater framing,
Yeah. I would probably want to draw either the fight on the boat, because I love that they put so many wrestling moves in there. Like it's not often when you see Batman, you can actually see the strategy in Batman's fight, because he comes at Bane with flying head scissors twice and it works twice. Yeah. But then he goes back to the well one too many times and Bane's got it scouted. And so he picks him up and he slams him. So
flying head scissors is when you have your hands behind you, you're in like a Naruto run, and then you clap your hands around the person's face, or do you actually like cross your arms?
No, it's when Batman jumps and grabs him around the neck with his legs, and then he like flips him.
Wow, I was way off. All right, what do you call that thing I just described?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm not familiar with that one.
You're gonna have to describe it again. I couldn't envision.
If you're doing the Naruto run with your hands flat out, by your side, and you're running at your opponent in the ring, and you suddenly bring your hands together, both your arms straight, and like slam someone on both sides of their face, or if you cross the hands, like I thought you would cross your hands like scissors, and then I don't know, choke them or whatever.
I'm sure it has.
Can you draw that? No, you guys draw that. Yeah.
Can you give me 6 panels of that? Yeah. I would. Yeah. So I would do the fight on the boat, or I would also want to do the Venom overload sequence.
Oh,
that looked like a lot of fun. Like whoever got to animate that had a good time.
Yeah. Although having to draw hair and veins sounds like someone staying late. That takes a long time.
Yeah, animating veins and stuff. Yes. I do really like the detail that the lenses of his mask pop out and his eyes plug out.
Yeah.
When he is arrested at the end and they take his mask off, I feel like he's got such a wimpy baby face, though. Like I almost
Yeah.
prefer
Yeah.
not to see him at all.
Yeah, it's a weird choice. That's what I mean. They treat him like such a punk in the end.
Yeah.
Well, if I can go back to the '95 Batman and Robin movie,
Sure.
if you remember, they kick off the Venom tubes, and then
Yeah.
this guy turns skinnier than I'm pretty skinny, but he turns skinnier than me, and he's probably like 6 foot or something.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, he turns
Oh.
into like a little.
So I'd rather
skinny
have
shark,
this
yeah.
wimp than that wimp. That's for
true.
sure.
At least this one, he's still a beefy wimp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you guys rate this one? 1 to 5.
Oh,
I'm gonna go 3.
I feel like you guys.
I
Oh,
really,
3?
I really want it. I mean, it gets points for me because I'm like, oh, that's the Bane one, but I don't know if they don't see it through to its full potential. So
Mhm.
I don't know if I would
Right.
recommend this to somebody unless they were a huge Bane fan, because it's awesome that he's in it, but I just think he's handled better on.
Yeah, Steven, what do you think?
Just because Sean gave it a 3, I'll give it a 2.5. I was gonna go 2.
Brutal.
But yeah. But after our discussion, I'm like, yeah, there's so much potential in this story. If only.
Yeah, I'm on the fence between a 2 and a 3, I think, because
Ooh.
it's funny we brought up the other versions of Bane so much
Yeah.
because this falls into that category where it's like they're using the character, but it's a weird kind of patchwork version that isn't really the version from the comics.
Yeah.
And
Right.
all of the other characters in this show are so well done and more or less true to the comics
Yeah.
Mhm.
that it feels, it kind of stands out that Bane is just this sort of like,
Yeah.
well, we have the name and we have the basic idea. Let's just do what we can.
Yeah. And what's compelling in this episode is it's not Bane as a character. It's that we know Batman is supposed to get his back broken at the end. Like we
Right.
know that
Right.
this is the episode of an event. But as far as Bane's inclusion, like I just don't think, Oh, before we forget, Clay, give us
Yeah.
your argument about why you think Tom Hardy is your dad.
Why I think he's my dad.
Why you like him so much? I was trying to think. Yeah, sorry.
Like in general as an actor or just in that movie?
Why you defend the Bane voice?
I think I like the Bane voice because he had his face covered for the entire movie, and so he needed to find a way to make the character memorable and stand out. And the best way to do that is with your body language and your voice.
Right.
And so he picked a voice that is, very identifiable and really makes a mark. And it's the number one thing people remember from that movie. So I think he did his job.
Yeah, his eye performance is amazing, top notch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot with not being able to see 90% of his face.
Yeah.
Correct.
I guess I just feel like I get that he needs a voice that has to pop. But does he have to be up here like he's in a weird announcer at a festival from 1930?
Yeah.
Just the choice, like, yeah, I think he should totally have a really unique accent and be really compelling, but I don't know if the choice he picked, like this wimpy, squeaky voice coming out of this giant man.
I don't think that's a wimpy voice at all.
I remember
He's
watching
got- he's
this
got-
in like
he's-
IMAX, and his voice was like super booming at that time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's a big booming voice he's got.
But yeah, I think if you're watching it at home, you probably do lose some of the texture, maybe.
I will say what I don't like is, and it's more of a technical thing.
Mm.
I know when they did the preview, there was some other movie playing at IMAX, and they did the same thing they did with Dark Knight, where they played like the opening scene.
Mhm.
The big thing coming out of it is no one could understand what he was saying because it was mixed. It was mixed so there was so much distortion on it. It was mixed so low.
Right.
So the version that came out, it is so clear that they went back in and they boosted the voice because it feels like it sits on top of everything else.
Right.
And so I don't love that because they clearly went back and tweaked it to make it more quote unquote understandable. But
Right.
Mhm.
but as a creative choice, I think it's great.
Yeah. I guess.
I think like Dark Knight Rises. I like the movie personally, but I think it definitely would have been better if that whole Talia al Ghul thing being the head
Yeah.
head person.
Mhm.
Yeah, that deviates a lot. Because leading up to that, the plan is great. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
just they're trying to do too much in that movie, I think.
yeah, I think so. And then they're still trying to build on the Ra's al Ghul like aspect of it. But yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, like it didn't need that really. You could have done without Ra's al Ghul. I just watched it last week for the second time ever. Actually, I'm not as familiar with it as the other two. And yeah, I had to go and turn on the closed captions because I could not understand Bane at all.
Yeah.
right. What made you go back and watch it, if you don't mind?
I was talking to Clay about something, and it came up, and I remember saying I haven't seen that for a while, and my wife was out of town, and I needed to do something, and I'm like, yeah, I'll rewatch it. Like I'm a Batman guy, I should be up to date on this, and I've only seen it once, so let's do it. And oh my god, I forgot how long that movie was too.
It's real long. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you know, it's funny because like Chris Nolan, he's like, oh, I'll do a Batmobile, but it can't look like it. I don't want any stupid ears on it. And you can see him like dumbing down so many things in Gotham just because I just don't think he's a comic book fan, which is fine.
Yeah.
And even when you get to Catgirl, he's like, fine, she'll have cat ears, but only when she's wearing her mask up. And no one calls her
Right,
Catwoman. She's
yeah.
a cat burglar. Huh?
Right,
You're like,
yeah.
okay, whatever. Direct the movie.
Yeah. I
Right.
just had such a problem with the bomb thing.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's such a weird thing where he's like, oh, off screen in the 8 years between movies, he developed this energy thing that now can be used as a bomb.
Yeah.
And then it ends with
Right.
him literally flying a bomb out into, I don't know. I thought that was kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they just try to do too much. Oh, and not to mention, let's send every cop in the city down into the fucking tunnels.
right. Right.
Yeah, there was a lot that they're asking you to believe. And
Yeah.
like one of those stunts, maybe you could build a plot off that, but I think like halfway through I'm like, okay, fine, yeah, whatever. I guess we're doing this now. Like it just seems so implausible that someone could hold a city ransom and then, you know, blowing up bridges is enough to keep the government away. And I know that you've got an A bomb or whatever, but I don't know. It's just there's a lot that it asks you to swallow.
Yeah, it just feels
Yeah.
like some of the stuff is gotten to kind of convolutedly. Like it's like, oh, well, we need to get rid of the cops because Bane needs to be able to take over the city. What should we do?
Right.
Well, let's send all the cops
Bury
into
them.
the
Yeah.
we'll just bury them under the ground. It's
Right.
like,
But I mean, if someone asked me to explain the second movie, I'd say, oh, well, Heath Ledger's Joker and he's like really fucking, like I could tell you what emotional beats and what the subtext was of what that movie was really about. You know, it's about Batman, it's about good and evil, and it's about perception and, you know, but if you asked me to describe this to somebody, I'd be like, I think like Gotham gets taken over and is hostage, but I don't know what the subtext is. You know, I don't know what like
sure.
I don't really know a better way to describe it.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the Joker in Dark Knight has, like, you understand what he's going for, but Bane, you don't really understand what he's going for until you find out he's working for Talia.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So you don't have. I mean, I think they get some good stuff out of it, but you don't really see the whole picture. And when you do see the whole picture, you're kind of like, oh, that's it, you know?
And I hate to do this, but like one of the critiques I seem to have with like Christopher Nolan films is like even the action is kind of shoddily shot. Like
He's
but-
not a great fight scene
yeah.
director. Yeah.
But for some reason, like the Bane fight scene was probably one of his best action scenes he ever directed.
I do have a theory about that because most of the Batman fighting in those movies is
Mhm.
pretty tight camera, like shaky cam stuff.
Yeah.
But the Bane fight, he shot with the IMAX camera, which is
Right.
too big to shake. So I think he had to actually like think about what he was doing a little bit more, which is why
Yeah.
that scene is so cool.
Agreed.
But anyway, we could talk about that all night if we wanted to. But that's going to do it for Bane. Take a quick break, and then we'll come back with Babydoll. All right, Babydoll, written by Paul Dini, directed by Dan Reba, and in this one, a washed-up actress named Mary Doll has become bitter and insane after falling into obscurity and suffering from a disorder that prevents her body from growing to adulthood. Thus biologically cursed with literal eternal youth, She kidnaps her TV family co-stars, who all led much happier lives and more successful careers than her, and holds them prisoner on the abandoned soundstage of her old show. While Robin works fast to free the actors from Babydoll's explosive death trap, Batman pursues the tiny fiend through a deadly carnival funhouse. And so when I started watching this, I realized about 10 minutes in that I had the completely wrong memory of who Babydoll was
Yeah.
because I thought she was a robot.
Oh,
And when I realized
Because
is
she
I was
doesn't
getting
age?
her mixed up. Yeah, because I was getting her mixed up with there's a character from Wolverine comics
Mhm.
whose the name I can't remember off the top of my head, but she hangs around with a messed up robot clone of Wolverine called Albert.
what the frick? Really?
Yeah, and she's a bomb. She's a robot who is also a bomb, and so they have this like Beauty and the Beast brother and sister kind of dynamic.
Ooh.
And so I just imprinted that onto this, and I forgot that she was just a 35-year-old woman who looks like she's 10.
Yeah. What's that disease
I
called? Isn't
yeah,
what's his
sorry.
face had it? Gary Coleman had it.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
Is that
I
a-
don't know if this is it's possible. I don't know. I didn't write down what the thing that they say is. I should have looked it up. But
I always
didn't.
thought
Yeah.
I always thought of Gary Coleman when I watched this, and I just because I'm like, oh, because he doesn't age either. It's like a thing. I didn't
Right.
know. I just assumed that
LC
they. Sorry.
Sorry, the Wolverine character, her name is LCD.
Okay. Thanks for bailing me out,
LCD?
Clay. Yeah. Anyway, enough about Gary Coleman.
So yeah, what did you how did you guys feel about this one?
I love this episode. I
Yeah.
cannot believe I like this episode as much as I do. It's totally, if you told me what this episode was on paper, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want to draw that. But this was one of, like, for me, top 10 of the entire series, because they take a character
Yeah,
that
okay.
it doesn't have the business it being as good as it is, I think. And I love the ending, especially with the Hall of Mirrors. Like, animating that must have been a pain, but they took their time, and I think it just paid off. And the very end, when she's like so destroyed, Batman like puts a hand on her head instead of putting her in cuffs. I
Yeah.
always thought that showed a real human moment for him.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like this one it works entirely because of that ending. I think the ending is so good
Yeah.
that it elevates everything else that came before it.
Yeah, I'd agree. I really enjoyed the episode, but there like I felt like there was some tonal shifts
Mhm.
that kind of took me out in certain areas.
Mm.
But yeah, I agree. At the very end, it was very powerful.
You guys have a good point, honestly, because if I was watching this for the first time, I'd be like, this is dumb. Batman can't catch a little blonde girl. Like, give me a break. And then at the end, like, it's just that emotional note just hits you like, oh my God, like it got real
Yeah.
deep real quick. And there's
Yeah.
even this episode. Oh, and to finish my point, this episode is better the second time around because you know what it's leading up to. And I think maybe that's why I give it a higher score. Like, maybe the first time you watch it, it's not as great.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's I don't think the stuff that comes before it is bad. It is a little bit. I did find myself thinking of previous episodes, like what she ends up doing with the actors felt a lot like that. I think is it Christmas with the Joker, where he kidnaps Commissioner Gordon and Gordon's family, or like the other cops, and he does like a TV show where they're all playing like a family.
Yep.
It felt a little bit like
Right.
that. Her relationship with the redheaded ass kicking lady
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
reminded me a little bit of Scarface and the ventriloquist a little bit.
Mm.
So there's
Well,
like
except
this,
oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. I was just gonna say, except the redhead has no personality.
right, yeah, she doesn't well, she can kick ass, but that's about it.
Yeah.
It's a job. She can kind of make comments while she's fighting.
Yeah, that's why we never see
Yeah.
her again. We never see her again after that because it's like, well, this job isn't for me, I
The
guess.
second time Robin fought a girl, by the way, in this episode.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. He seems like really into it too, because in the Bane episode,
Maybe that's like his fetish.
He's like, maybe I'll
I mean,
accidentally
maybe.
touch a boobie.
yeah, because in the Bane episode, he doesn't really have any reason to want to fight her, but when he climbs up out of the water, he's like, "Come here, sweetie." Then they wrestle
Yeah,
around
man.
in the water.
It's wet shirt, wet blouse night.
But yeah, it's the stuff that happens is, I think the character is the best part, but even there, I think the character doesn't really live up to its concept until you get to the end.
Yeah.
Right. Agreed. Because there's certain parts in the beginning of the episode where they play it a little too much for laughs. And I think that takes a little bit away from it. But as a kid show, it works until the ending, which definitely works. Yeah.
I actually think there's a lot of really nice scenes. Like I really like the scene where Robin is watching the old episodes of the show.
Yeah.
And you get some really nice animation of him chuckling at the show.
Yeah.
And then he notices Batman is like looking at him, and then he like straightens up and gets serious. That was really nice.
He's hilarious in this episode for sure.
But Sean, I was actually just looking quickly to look up some Babydoll information regarding the comic book. I mean, and okay, that sounded strange. I think her appearance in White Knight might be the only time she's shown up in the comics.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Awesome.
Because the only thing I can see, at least on the site that I'm looking at here, says she was in White Knight and she was in a book called Modern Masters, which was about Bruce Timm. But that seems to be about his like career and not like a comic or anything.
I'm
gonna have to reread it.
I got some emails from people that are like, "Oh, you finally made Babydoll. You brought her into canon, or you brought her into the universe." Like they said it in different ways, and I thought they meant, "Oh, you brought her into White Knight universe, and we haven't seen her for a while." It didn't register if they were actually saying, "No, she's literally never been in the comic before."
Yeah, I don't think that she has. I'm not seeing any.
So her first appearance
reference of her
is White Knight. Oh, sorry. First comic book appearance is in White Knight and then in the second one I kill her.
Yeah. Great decision in hindsight.
I felt bad killing her because she's such a sweet character.
Yeah, it's
why'd you do it?
Later on she gets together with Killer Croc, and in White Knight in Volume 2, I put her with Croc whenever I can. And there's even a line in the first one where they're fighting Harley on top of a car, and Harley's like, "I never understood these two. I wonder who the little spoon is," or something. It was some like reference to like cuddling. I don't remember what line I went with, or if I had to edit it out. But yeah. So when I had Croc get killed or get shot, he survives. When he gets shot by Bullock 3 pages later, and then everything floods. Everyone's like drowning on the water. Everyone's like, and then you see this silhouette of Killer Croc with 4 holes in his chest, surrounded by blood. And then in the background, you see Babydoll reaching for him. And I was proud of that. Nobody seemed to fucking care. Like, this is a huge moment. There's got to be Babydoll fans out there, right? Huh? And then everyone's like, she's literally never been in the comic before, dude.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that she hasn't. But at the same time, I think that's an interesting thing to jump into, because kind of like the Batman the Animated Series version of Mr. Freeze, she has a very specific story that you tell with her.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's kind of difficult to tell a further story with her that has the same level of impact, because it's either going to be the same thing as the first one, or it's going to be something else that isn't quite as emotionally or doesn't have the character resonance as this one.
It's hard to do her twice. We have a new villain in this Harley Quinn book that my wife is writing for Mateo. I won't say the name of the villain, but she's a 1920s based Zelda Fitzgerald Hollywood killer. And you really can't use her. I mean, I like that idea as a one shot, but I don't see how the hell, like, for all of your 1920s, you need a 1920s murdery golden age of Hollywood, but you got to use blank.
Yeah.
Like, when you create Ra's al Ghul, it's like, there's a character that's going to come back again and again and again. This is perfect. But I created something so Adam West, it's like, well, welcome to your first and last appearance, sweetheart. I don't think anyone's going to do with her after, unless they need a murderer from the 1920s.
Well, I mean, at this point, her most devastating weapon is just waiting. Because everyone she's going to go after is going to be dead soon anyway, right?
Yeah. Well, that's her thing, is when she kills someone, she paints them black and white, because TV shows are black and white back then, or like golden age movies.
Sure.
So she's like
Yeah.
killing them and restoring them back to their prime.
Oh, that's fun.
So
It's
yeah,
like
Wow.
shameless.
weird, twisted Goldfinger.
Yep.
When does that book come out? Again?
In October, issue 1 comes out.
Oh,
And
wow.
the series is going to introduce 2 new villains. So for people that are like collectors and want to, that's one reason to buy it. And if you don't like it, then don't tell my wife, because this is her first time writing a comic.
No, that sounds cool though. Sounds like a lot of work though. Like after you kill someone, you got to paint them.
Yeah, like you got rigor mortis setting in, so that must affect how like the paint goes and the lipstick and all that.
Well, the brand manager definitely offloaded a bunch of paint that was left over from when he moved in to her when she came in to get her gimmick. I can tell you that much. Did you guys notice that her henchmen are based on Gilligan and the Skipper
Yeah.
from Gilligan's
Yeah, I
Island?
think so. Yeah.
I thought they were pretty cool. They were pretty good goon versions of Gilligan and the Skipper, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I like when they make the henchmen, or when they make them Curly, Larry, and Moe, but on steroids.
Yeah, I like when they do that stuff and they don't draw attention to it. I thought they were going to. There's a term that I learned from a podcast that I like called Harmontown. That's
Yeah.
that's hosted by Dan
Yep.
Harmon, the creator of Rick and Morty and Community and stuff.
Yep.
And he has a term for a style of joke that he hates called Monopoly Manning, which is, if you remember in Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, there's a guy who looks like the Monopoly Man. And then the joke is that Ace Ventura points out that he looks like the Monopoly Man and then does a bunch of Monopoly Man jokes.
Right.
And he uses that term in reference to you're creating the joke, pointing out the joke in order to facilitate further jokes. And it's just kind of like a cheap way to write jokes.
Right.
And I was expecting them to do that with the Skipper and Gilligan thing, where they were going to make some really point out or have Robin be like, these guys look really familiar. Didn't they get lost on a cruise somewhere or something like that? But I like that this show, they do a lot of that stuff where they'll base background characters or secondary characters, clearly base them on actors and just not bring any attention to it.
Yeah. Only people who are cool, who remember the days of, Rosebud and all the deep cuts from, all this stuff. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of film geeks who must have helped cast this show, so to speak, Like you almost expect to see a Humphrey Bogart in the background.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they've never done that. It's almost like too easy.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think I've said this before. I don't know if it was on this show or a different one, but I always think back how the first 5 seasons of The Simpsons are mostly jokes from the 50s. Like all of the references on The Simpsons are just like old television references that were probably even old for the people writing the jokes.
Yeah.
And for some reason they make it work, and it's great.
Yeah. I got to say, one thing I love is that when apparently Robin knows how to play some pretty sweet licks on the guitar.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He really got into that role. Like I wonder if he must have played on the side or whatever, but that's really going for it when you start inhabiting another character.
When they revealed that it was Robin, and I was kind of, because that character is like a schlubby looking teenager with pimples and blonde hair and stuff. I was kind of hoping the real one would show up and be like a nice, well put together young man and have him be like, so is this what you think of me?
This is what Robin assumes millennials dress like. I love the kid brother rock and roller. He reminds me of my brother-in-law, who's kind of like a guy with a rock van who's stuck in another era.
Sure. Yeah. Aren't we all at this point? I don't know if you guys had much else you wanted to say about this one. I'm surprised we didn't have as much to talk about, because I think there's a lot there, but it is so backloaded that it's tough to really break it apart.
Yeah.
I think my problem was I only watched it once. But I didn't fall asleep. That's the important part.
Oh yeah,
that's mark of approval right there. Yeah.
It's funny. I'm looking at Babydoll, and I'm like struck. She looks very Tiny Toons, but on purpose, obviously. And like I'm the way they animated her, like each of her pieces of hair has a swirl on it. Like she's not an easy character to animate.
Right.
But they went all out designing her, which I thought was pretty ballsy. Like I remember watching this as a kid, thinking she looked like she belonged in a different universe or something. And
Yeah,
this is
definitely.
funny when they reanimate her for season 4. They give her like a flat, blonde circle for hair, and that's it. There's like zero detail on her.
Oh, really?
I think another amazing thing about it is the voice work on this one.
Yes.
Especially with Babydoll, because to be able to create those two distinct voices, one which is high pitched and then the other one which is her normal voice. And then on top of that, like the Shakespeare stuff, I thought that was
Yes.
Yeah.
pretty fun.
That Shakespeare stuff is so weird, but it's sort of beautiful because they know it's weird. I mean, you're like, what is this? What is this thing I'm watching with Batman? I'm like 12 and I'm enjoying this. What the hell is going on?
I
Yeah.
do think Robin's a little harsh because he's kind of like watching this and taking in this story about this woman who is trapped in the body of like a toddler and all of the things she struggled with, and he's like, it's not Olivier, is it, over here, right, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And,
think that's what I
and
would
like
draw.
I said, yeah. But I think that, and I think that's what makes Robin like such a a great addition to this particular story. But in a sense, it kind of takes away from the seriousness,
Yeah.
which is
Mm.
fine. That.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to have
Yeah.
some levity in this story. It would be tough to tell
Yeah.
this completely straight.
Speaking of
Yeah, I'm just
how,
emo right now.
how this, you're talking about how this is like backloaded as far as you got to get to the end before it really gives you everything. And there's an episode like that on
Mm.
Futurama where Fry's dog dies, and it's the one that all
Oh,
Futurama
yeah.
fans know and they'll skip over because it's so good. Like you can't possibly watch it if you're a dog lover. And
Mm.
we'll put it on. Colleen, my wife, refuses to watch it, but I'll put it on anyway, and I'll wait to see how long she notices before it's the dog episode.
Mhm.
And every time we'll watch it all the way through, and I'll look over at the end, and she will have eyes swelled up with tears. And if you haven't seen that episode, you should go check it out. But it's my wife's favorite / least favorite because she just can't get through it.
Well, next time I'm feeling too good, I guess I'll throw that on.
No one said I was a good husband.
I did look up the redesign, and yeah, it's not particularly inspired. It's just it's like a bowl cut with 2 pigtails on it.
And the guy who animated her in this episode we just watched is like, fuck, I'm not drawing those pigtails again. I'm gonna go with a circled blonde helmet.
I will say I do think the animation in this episode is really good. Like I said,
Yeah.
that scene with that acting that they do with Robin is great.
Yeah.
And it does seem like that they leaned into some of the more quality stuff. And in both of these episodes, I actually think are both really good.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I love her vehicle too. Like her.
Oh, that big boxy truck thing?
Yeah.
No, her tricycle.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, that thing's faster than like the Batmobile. I don't know how she got away.
It's powered by the flavor of nerds.
yeah,
Candies,
there you go.
not
Yeah,
the
just
people.
pixie sticks into the back tank and you're good to go.
And actually, I think you guys brought up a good point. Like, if there was another story, I think it would be nice to play her off as someone like Croc, like
Mm.
what Sean did, where there's these two people that have these ailments, and they're not normal, so they kind of sympathize for each other. But one can be the brains, and the other is like the brawn kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
the way
what
to
we
take
did.
her. Honestly, like giving her to Brock as a sidekick is so weird, but it makes so much sense
is
as a
so
writer. She's
weird.
like, shit, I could write that all day. Jesus Christ.
Right. Yeah, like I think there is stuff you could do with her. It's probably too dark for the cartoon.
Oh,
But
for
like
sure.
my first thought is like, well, what if she wants to have a family?
Right.
So
Oh.
what if she like kidnaps a child or something?
Right.
You know, like you
Right.
can get into some of that stuff that she's
Right.
probably dealing with. But it's
Yeah.
definitely too dark for a children's TV
Yeah, I
show.
think getting into her dark history of being a porn star because she's technically 18, even though she looks like she's 6, maybe not great for a show.
That might be
Yeah.
a bit too far.
Although, if we want to talk about where she got all her money, that may be where I would take the story.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if DC would let me do
keep going.
that.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you want to get out of your contract, give them that
Oh, they're a
bitch.
big fan of
Yeah.
suggested pedophilia on their characters. They love that at DC.
Steven, what would you want commissioned from this episode?
Oh crap. Man, I would have to think about this. Like maybe when Robin like grabs the dynamite with his mouth and throws it,
Oh
and
yeah.
then I just want to see Sean and Clay draw the tricycle, like that tricycle, and
You
she's
can
like
just say
burning rubber.
Sean,
you can just say Sean, it's fine.
and Clay, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was perfect.
I'm equal opportunity here.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, part of me wants to draw her standing in front of all the mirrors. Like I could see a really dramatic
Mm.
poster. In that, but
Oh.
that would be such a pain in the ass, and you would never be able to sell that unless I don't want to meet the customer that wants to buy that. Unless she's a big fan and has a nursery and she wants something cute. Like, but if it's a guy that comes up and wants to buy that, I don't know.
Yeah, so someone who needs some body dysmorphia art for their nursery.
Yeah, creepy child murderer with teddy bear gun.
Yeah. I think I would draw my favorite little bit of animation in this, I think, is when towards the end when she starts telling her monologue story. They zoom in on her face and they change the lighting. So she goes from a happy child and then her eyes, like bags show up under her eyes and she just looks older. And they make it's a really nice piece of animation where they make her look like she's an older woman who's just more stuck in this character. I really like that. I think that would be interesting to do on a comic page.
Yeah. There's also a great sequence
that's a good point.
when Batman is chasing her through tiny tubes and through funhouse stuff, and she's using her size to her advantage to evade him.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a really cool silent page to do. You have like 20 panels, and you would make the chase go like a maze from panel to panel, almost like a who's the guy that drew Hawkeye for a while?
Oh, David Aja.
Yeah, Aja. Like the kind of cute stuff that Aja would do. I think I would love to see just a sequence of her running from Batman as he's chasing her through a swing set, and like everything is slowing him down.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
What would you guys rate this one?
Oh, go ahead.
No, we want to hear your opinion. I don't want you to use mine or Clay's. You don't have to agree with us.
Sorry. Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty high. I'd probably do like 4.
Nice.
4.5. Yeah. And just to bring it back to Bane, I think these two had very good animation.
Yeah.
Like some of them are kind of shoddy, but like this one, the lines are very like pretty like strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing that they're like, we only have the budget for 5 really nice animated episodes. They're like, ooh, let's do the one with Babydoll. They're like, who? Like, trust me.
Right.
Like, what? To put all their money in this one amazes me.
It does kind of feel, maybe I'm just looking towards the future too much, but it almost felt like you could start to see some of the style change too, where stuff was getting a little bit more angular.
Yeah.
And some of the faces, their eyes were just being done with like black dots instead of actually drawing eyeballs and stuff. Right. So it seemed like they were kind of on their way over there.
Yeah.
But they definitely pulled out the big guns for this one.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go 4 as well because I think it's really great. I think it's the end of it does a lot of the heavy lifting, and I think that's what stops it from being a 5 for me.
Yeah.
But it is really nice.
Yeah. So I think 4 because you're right, Clay. Heart of Ice, which is the high bar, is good the first minute you're watching it. It's good the 15th minute.
Right.
It's good at the end. Like it has moments splattered throughout, and this one is really good, but you have to get to the end before it really clicks. Yeah. And just by design, it just can't be as good as Mr. Freeze,
You really have to be like along for the ride in this one for it to work. Yeah. it's like once it starts and you see who the villain is, it's like someone is going, wait, stay with me here. Just get to the end.
Right.
It'll all be worth it.
Man, there's a lot of Babydoll fan art on Pinterest. I'm sure you guys are shocked.
Oh boy. Yes. Be sure to scrub your
Oh,
browser history.
some of them
before
are
you go to
giving
bed
them
tonight.
breasts. That's not cool. What's the point?
Yeah.
Why even draw her then?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, welcome to internet fan art, I guess.
I mean, if you want to be weird, draw a prepubescent child. The fact that you drew one and then gave her breast, I don't. Oh man, we might want to
Yeah.
edit this part out.
Well, I can do that.
Maybe it's fine.
I'm sure it's fine.
I'd keep it.
But yeah, that's going to do it for Bane and Babydoll. Steven, thank you so much for coming on. If there's any shout outs or anything you'd like to do, you're more than welcome to do it.
Cool. No, thank you guys. This was really fun. I just want to shout out one of my comic book buddies at work, Jeremy, who listens to this religiously as well.
Oh man.
And then, yeah, I really appreciate it, you guys. Like, this was awesome. And then, if we had video, I would be showing you my '89 Batmobile from Lego. Like, I built the Lego one.
Oh, nice.
It's beautiful.
And you made your own. You did it just blind, or did you get a kit?
Oh no, I got a kit. I can't do that blind.
Yeah,
I'm too old for that.
Too old.
Well, thank
I
you.
need a plan. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is trying to end the episode. Sorry.
Well, and anyway, thank you again, Steven. Thanks so much for donating to the Kickstarter, and thank you to you and Jeremy for being fans of the show. And thank you, Sean, for coming back as always.
Yep. Thanks, Clay.
And
Steven, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate your generosity and supporting of my friend.
Thank you. if we could just go around the room and just thank each other for being here today and sharing this with you.
What?
Yeah. That's gonna do it, guys. We'll be back next time with The Lion and the Unicorn and Showdown. See ya.